Greatness can't be defined, only described by play.
This team has no weaknesses. They find a way to be the best on semifinal Saturday.
Or a moment that becomes history. Greatness isn't merely a goal, but a search.
This is what you dream about.
Fueled by passion, rooted in sacrifice. A feeling experienced rarely and desired by many.
Round 2 in Philly, let's go.
We gather again, hoping to see it once more on the game's greatest stage. The NCAA Men's Lacrosse Championship.
They love the long shot in Philadelphia. And Maryland has been the underdog in every game this tournament. But John Tillman has taken the Terps from 1,000,000 to 1 to 1 of 2. For Notre Dame, it's 2 for the money. 2 Kavanaugh brothers, 2 Tewaaraton finalists, and a chance to make it 2 straight titles. This year's final at Lincoln Financial Field pits the last 2 national champions. Defending champ Notre Dame rides in on a 13-game win streak. 2 years ago, Maryland was an undefeated superpower. Welcome to Championship Monday. Anish, Shroff, Quint, Kessenich. We'll hear from Paul Carcaterra in a minute. When you look at this matchup between these two, it feels like a Rocky movie.
Notre Dame, they wear the belt, and they've been destroying teams this year. As you said, 13 straight wins, top offense in the country, top face-off man in the country, top goaltender in the country. Then we got Maryland, and a name that's very familiar with championship weekend, but this year is very different. 4-5 over their last 9 games. People said they didn't belong in the tournament, but since they got in, they've transformed the way they play, and it's been a winning combination. Possessions, defense, efficient shooting. Maryland is here, winners of 3 straight underdog games.
And the heavyweight fight within the fight. Carc, you've got the best player in the history of Notre Dame lacrosse and the best defender in college lacrosse.
Indeed, Anish. And for Pat Kavanaugh, it was always a dream to wear the Notre Dame jersey. Now he's the leading point producer in school history, and he's the unquestioned leader of this Irish offense. He's a relentless dodger who can get to the rack on any defender.
College lacrosse, the Tewaaraton Award. And in the cage today, Quint, championship pedigree is on display.
Logan McNaney, the babyface grad student, is a lefty from Corning. Most outstanding player back in 2022 when the Terps won the title. His superpower, his eyes, his focus, the combination of his patience and then reflexes. For Notre Dame, let's meet Liam Entenmann, seasoned senior from Long Island. His secret sauce, movement skills. He can spring into action like Spider-Man with flexibility. He is the master of calm. He owns the championship from a year ago, 2023. Both have stellar postseason records and percentages.
Liam Entenmann, the 2-time National Goalie of the Year. Logan McNaney starting in his 3rd national championship game. We will step aside. We have some weather in the area. There is inclement weather in the forecast for the hours ahead as well. We are hopeful that we are back with the opening face-off of this 2024 National Championship.
Ding dong.
We have waited all season, so what's a couple of more hours? We're about ready to resume our championship tilt. John Tillman's underdog Terrapins looking to end up on top. Notre Dame, the reigning national champion, looking to repeat behind those two brothers, Chris and Pat Cavanaugh. We were about to start at about noon Eastern, a little after today. In fact, the game was actually moved up yesterday due to the threat of weather. They had the anthem, they had the flyover, and shortly before the opening faceoff, thunderstorms in the area. Fans vacated the lower levels and the upper levels to find shelter. And after a stoppage of about 2 hours and 2 minutes, we are ready to resume lacrosse. We're ready to crown a champion. Anish, Shroff, Quint, Kessenich. We'll hear from Paul Carcaterra, who is down on the field where it's nice and wet. Q, these two teams, they're amped, they're ready. It's the championship game, it's the game, and then you hit pause.
The challenge of a delay is to regulate your energy, and you can't go over the top on the caffeine, but you do need some snacks. These players have been in this situation over the course of their career. It's also important that you have the right equipment, that your stick is in good shape, and you've got the right screw-on cleats. My biggest concern, Anish, going forward, this field is wet. It could be very friendly for the outside bounce shot. It's a shooter's field.
Unfortunately, you did overdo it on the caffeine. Carc is down in the field. Paul, set the scene from field level.
Well, you guys nice and dry up in the booth. For the last 2 hours, it was dumping rain, but I will tell you, this field drained extremely well. It's the home of the Philadelphia Eagles. There's no standing water. Both teams changed some surfaces in terms of their cleats. More of a three-quarter screw-in type of cleat is what the Maryland staff has changed most of their team over to. But I'll tell you, it is a slick track, but it is not a track that I feel is going to get extra muddy because of the drainage.
We billed this before the delay as almost a Rocky movie, Carc, in the heavyweight fight within the game. Pat Cavanaugh and Ajax Zapatello.
Well, Pat Cavanaugh is the school's all-time leading point producer. He's the younger brother of Matt. This has been a dream of his entire life to win national championships. He won one last year with brother Chris. He's trying for the repeat. He is a smooth quarterback type player that is creative and has the improv, but he's going against the ultimate eraser in Ajax Zapatello, who has been almost unbeatable in the postseason, has allowed 1 goal in man coverage.
Q, the goalies, championship pedigree of the highest caliber.
Liam Entenmann, the senior, last season's MVP. He's got a ring. He is Spider-Man-like with his movement from pipe to pipe. You got Logan McNaney, MVP of this tournament back in 2022. He too a national champion. Babyface lefty, a little less of a mover, but man, his eyes, that is his secret sauce.
It's a battle between the last two national champions officials, Doug Donovan, Jeffrey Hoffman, and the lead official is Brian Abbott. Two of the best face-off men in the country, Will Lynch for Notre Dame, Luke Weirman for Maryland. And Weirman jumped face-off violation number 1 on Notre Dame. Maryland with the ball first. That is another titanic battle to watch. Both above 70% in this NCAA tournament. The Terps will go on offense first. The path to Memorial Day for Maryland. They have won 3 straight games as underdogs. Here's Ryan Siracusa. They've knocked off 2 ACC teams. Duke in the quarters, Virginia in the semifinals, after a thrashing of Princeton in round 1. Left-handed shot by Siracusa, and the underdog is on top early.
Maryland's DJ during the break was Josh Kaufman, a 6th-year offensive player. And they had the tunes pumping in the Terp locker room. This one's on Liam Entenmann. Watch it, he'll point to his chest after this one goes by his stick. He takes responsibility and accountability for this goal. If you stay with him, you'll see him. And this is one that's right up his wheelhouse. He's kind of guessing to the off-stick side.
Watch Syracuse today. He is so two-handed. The senior from Atlanta, Georgia. I watched him throughout the course of the season on tape. He could sling it with his left and his right hand.
The Georgia delegation had a hand in that goal. The assist by Eric Molliver, who's from Atlanta. Notre Dame wins this faceoff. Will Lynch. And now that's Chris Kavanaugh, 50 in white, Notre Dame's leading scorer. Wearing 40 today is Carter Parlett, that number in honor of the late Notre Dame captain Mike Sennett, affectionately dubbed Steele, passed away at the age of 38 in 2007. Irish have the #1 offense in the country. They also have the #2 scoring defense. It's a team that's only lost once this season. They've won 13 in a row. Jordan Faison had 3 goals, 2 assists in Notre Dame's regular season meeting with Maryland, and an unforced error, and the Irish coming out a little shaky.
It's going to be a more imperfect game given the 2-hour delay and the field conditions.
This Maryland team had struggled mightily on offense. They went D.B. Cooper offensively late in the season, but they have come out of their shell in the postseason. And the upset cocktail, Quint, for the Terps starts from the back end. McNaney in goal, Weirman at the faceoff X, and Kark told you about Zappatello. Here's Zach Whittier against the short stick D-Mitty, Nick Harris. Shot on the run, too high. In lacrosse, closest to the ball when and where it goes out of bounds on a shot, awarded possession. Braden Urksa, Maryland's leading scorer, too much on the pass, and this could be a big turnover. Ball was tipped. Chris Kavanaugh picks it up. Parlett wanted it. Kavanaugh will settle. The Irish have 2 Tewaaraton finalists, goalie Liam Entenmann and Pat Kavanaugh. The Tewaaraton, the Heisman of college lacrosse. This team has won 35 of its last 38 games, and they've won every NCAA tournament game this year by at least 5 goals. Pat Kavanaugh right down the middle, and just missed high. The backup to his brother Chris. 50 and 51 in white, the 2 Kavanaugh brothers. Here's Chris Kavanaugh against Bill Schaller. Now Pat against Zappatello. It's the side of the net. McNaney clamps down, ball loose, kicks out in front, and the Terps come away with it. Kark, what has made Maryland's defense so good in this tournament?
They are speaking the same language behind defensive coordinator Jesse Bernhardt, who's a Team USA player and a multi-time All-American for the Terps. I feel like their slides, their rotation, their communication has been near flawless. 6 people playing together as one, with the goalie, Quint mentioned, has more experience in this spot than any in the country.
It's been a man-to-man scheme. They've held opponents to less than 20 shots on goal. So it's a combination, to me, of the Terps winning the possession game, grinding out long possessions and keeping their defense fresh.
Syracuse had it pop out of his stick. He recovers. Checked by Christian Alakwa. Good look here. Bounce shot, and it goes in. 2-0 Maryland. Eric Spanos.
The rain won't keep him away. Daniel Kelly is known as a big left-handed hired gun. And I was talking to him in the tunnel during the delay. Loose as a goose. They're playing with house money. College Park knows it.
Little communication issue between 2 Notre Dame defenders. They both end up inside covering the same man. Spanos is able to set his feet from mid-range, and this is a skim. This is a skim shot I'm talking about. That ball actually accelerates. It just, pow, it hops off the wet turf and skips. Very tricky to save mid-range bounce shots on a wet grass surface.
Yes, Kelly with the goal. He had 3 in the semifinals. Syracuse with the assist. So Ryan Syracuse has had a hand in the 2 Maryland goals. Lynch and Weirman both hit the deck. The wings get involved. Stamos and Donovan near the sideline. Out of bounds, Notre Dame ball. Kark, what did these teams do during the delay?
Yeah, we had almost a 2-hour delay here, Anish, and different perspective. I saw all the Maryland players after they watched some tape on the man-up unit from Notre Dame, which is tops in the country, just kind of refining some of their responsibilities through film. Most of the team was out. They had their sticks in their hands. They were playing wall ball. Notre Dame stayed in the locker. When I talked to some officials from Notre Dame, it was more just foam rollers, listening to music, eating some snacks. But the Terps, almost the entire team, is out of the locker room with sticks in hand, playing some wall ball, and super, super loose.
Second midfield gets a run here for Notre Dame. Angrick, Buzenkill, and Riley Gray. Terps were in this situation a couple of years ago in the semis. They had a delay of 3.5 hours against Princeton. Taylor bottled up near the crease. Angrick shoots. Notre Dame on the board.
We can talk about the Kavanaughs until we're green in the face, but the success of this Irish offense this season has been their ability to pass the ball. It's family-style offense. Taylor double-teamed, kicks it behind, Buzenkill, one more up top. Everybody eats, everybody shares the rock. Angrick, a year removed from ACL knee surgery, scores left-handed from point-blank range.
9 deep they will run at you from the offensive midfield. Most teams in the country are ecstatic if they have 5 or 6, but you saw the aggressive nature of Maryland on that possession too. They collapsed on Taylor, and the ball movement off of that collapse from Taylor to Buzenkill allowed that step down.
Weirman wins it back. And Luke Weirman is not just a fogo face-off get-off. He can stay on. He'll set picks, occasionally dodge. But this time he will run off. Maryland waits on its offensive personnel. Owen Murphy, who did not play in the semifinal, part of the midfield unit with Braden Erksa. Erksa, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year last season. This is Whittier now. Fires on the run. Entenmann makes the save. Nobody's made more saves in the history of Notre Dame lacrosse. Irish in transition. Pat Kavanaugh to Taylor. That's too easy.
You settle in a big game when you can make a quality stop, get a touch, and throw an accurate outlet pass. And for Liam Entenmann, he has always been able to find that level point. His mind game, as good as it gets.
The deception here is subtle, but it is absolutely nasty. You look at the dip of the head and the shoulder that gets McNaney to bite low, and look where he finishes this ball on the opposite side of the battle-tested goalie. Jake Taylor has an extensive background in box lacrosse, and that small, little, subtle movement with the head and shoulders can throw a goalie off.
Taylor had 4 in the first meeting against Maryland, and Quint, he has not had that kind of space around the crease in weeks.
And I love the fact that Notre Dame attacks Maryland in the early offensive set. That is before the Terp defense can get their matchups and get settled.
Weirman wins this faceoff.
I think that's big in this game, Anish and Paul. Who can find goals, non-6-on-6 settled goals, whether it's extra man, neither of these teams have fouled very much, face-off goal, transition, or early offense.
Molliver against Tyler Buckner, now picked up on a switch. Barlett shading Molliver. He missed all of last year with a torn ACL. Syracuse has got 2 points for Maryland, a goal and a helper. That one off the stick of Maltz. Buckner can't scoop it. And that Tyler Buckner is the former Notre Dame and Alabama quarterback, Tyler Buckner. Sean Light, 90 and white as a freshman, a second-team All-American. He shut down his matchup most of the season.
Been unbelievable. He is long, he's got the feet and the patience. You never see him overcommit. But this is a Terps unit that wants to play 6-on-6 defense. Has allowed only 8 goals per game in NCAA tournament play. Notre Dame has the horses. They have the depth. Chaos in a track meet favors the Irish.
Chris Kavanaugh spins it back to Devin McClain, Notre Dame's top scoring midfielder, a transfer from Brown. Here's the matchup, Pat Kavanaugh against Zapatello. Kavanaugh, the question mark, and the save made by McNaney. Logan McNaney, 5th year out of Corning, New York, the Glass Town. Most outstanding player of championship weekend 2 years ago.
He had the answer for Kavanaugh's question mark. Logan spends a lot of time looking through the film clips with head coach John Tillman.
Maryland gets it across. You have to get the ball across midfield in the first 20 seconds of the shot clock. And in those first 20 seconds, you are allowed to go over and back. Born Black Molliver at 5 points in the round 1 win against Princeton. They can play attack in midfield. Here's Spanos. He bumped down to attack at the start of the tournament. It's made a big difference. It's unlocked this offense. But Entenmann cat-like out of the cage.
Alakwa stood him up on the corner. Entenmann realizing, hey, be the third guy in, be the next man in, and he scoops that ground ball. Notre Dame's going to play man-to-man defense. They don't want to double team as much as you'd think. They want to win their matchups on the perimeter. Maryland's going to be attacking, constantly attacking their midfield defenders. That is the shorties.
And Clark, much like a basketball team that's comfortable switching 1 through 5, Notre Dame very comfortable switching its matchups.
Yeah, they have blatant disregard for the pick game. They will switch, and they're all on the same page in terms of that, regardless of the matchup.
There's Riley Gray, part of that second midfield. Spun back to Kavanaugh. A little 2-man game. Kavanaugh was looking for the switch, trying to get the shorty. Now brother Chris. Buzenkill, Philly area native. He's got his second point of this national championship, and Notre Dame has the lead for the first time.
Buzenkill has been a revelation in 2024. It's been incredible in terms of closing gaps, being an additional scorer. The contact is here, the delay is over, the game is on. Buckle your chin strap. If you're the Irish, you have Liam Entenmann. Big save capability, and you'll roll 9 deep on the offensive midfield. 23 in white is one of them.
This championship game is a matchup of the last 2 national champions. In 2022, Maryland completed a perfect season, beat Cornell in the final. This was one of the most dominant teams we have seen in recent memory. Last year, Notre Dame, it was the revenge tour. They were the number 4 team in the polls when 2022 ended, did not get into the tournament, used that as fuel to their first championship in program history.
Maryland's one of the all-time programs. You see John Tillman now leading his team to his 8th championship game in 14 years.
And remember, one of those seasons was COVID. There was no tournament.
Kevin Corrigan, 36th year. Okay, he came to Notre Dame back in 1989, and man, they were sniffing around the title forever. Multiple times they were runners-up, 2010, 2014. They win their first gold trophy a year ago.
Second meeting of this season between these two teams. Notre Dame won the first meeting 14-9 back on March 3rd. Maryland with the equalizer. That's Jack Cadillac Chorus.
No step from Entenmann on that one, Q.
Tell you, between the delay and the wet field conditions, these two very experienced goalies are seeing a lot of rubber early. Terps fans rejoice. They played in front of huge crowds down in College Park this season, as did Notre Dame and Arlada. Wing play will be paramount today. And an early offense chorus seamlessly. He's a wingman on faceoffs. He's an old school midfielder, Paul, like a 1980s guy. He plays offense, he plays defense, he roams the middle of the field.
They all have the catapult system to track their GPS and mileage. No Terp player logs more miles on the field than Cadillac Chorus. And he has been incredible on the wings on faceoffs, generating some of those 6-on-6 type plays late in the season.
Entenmann guessing on that one. He oversteps it away from the ball. Your goal, your aim as a goalie is to step laterally or towards the ball, and it looked like he got caught thinking. Now, he's a veteran. He's got to settle down. He's let in 2 questionable goals so far. I don't worry about Liam. He's just got to find that level point and trust his hand-eye coordination.
4th face-off, 1 in a row from Maryland after the loose ball hold on Notre Dame.
The next one that matters. You're having that memory, that eraser in your brain is so key.
Syracuse to Maltz. Maltz 3 years ago, a 40-goal scorer, looking for the crease feed. It's picked off.
The bounce shot's certainly in play today from mid or even outer range because you're getting that skim. Lacrosse ball, hard rubber, it's hitting the wet grass and really accelerating.
I was in the huddle moments ago with Maryland's defensive coordinator, Jesse Bernhardt. He wants to play a compact type defense. So this could be some opportunities from some of these outside shooters like an Eric Dobson. And Ajax Zapatello told his unit, we cannot allow them to score 6-on-6.
3rd midfield on for Notre Dame, and they cash in. Jalen Seymour, the 9th goal of his career, the 4th this season. And that is the Irish flexing their incredible depth.
It's depth and it's skill. Look at the eyes of Pat Cavanaugh. Beautiful ball movement. That's the pick right now that gets the entire Maryland defense to rotate. And when you have a quarterback, the best passer in school history, in Pat Cavanaugh, dealing, people cut with urgency.
2 assists for Pat Cavanaugh. Terrific ball reversal from the Irish offense. They attack one wing, swing the ball through X, and then attack the weak side of the formation.
Quint, both goalies, a combined 1 for 7. What does that tell you?
Struggling. These are guys who have career save percentages above 55% in the NCAA tournament. The challenge for them, as I said, to hit that reset button, it's the next play that matters. I always felt that next save was going to trigger the shutout streak. The shutout starts with your next save.
First midfield comes on now for Notre Dame. McLean, Dobson, and the freshman Faison, who doubles as a wide receiver on the Notre Dame football team. Here is Faison. 5 points against Maryland back in March, his best game of the regular season. Now Dobson, an All-American with a lefty hammer. Fires on the run and shows off that lefty laser.
He's a lefty from Fleming Island, Florida, who runs at 6'5", 235 pounds. He bullies his way right down Broad Street to his strong left hand, and then the damage is done.
The beautiful gift for this midfield in 2024 has been Jordan Faison, the wide receiver for Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. He attracts the long stick. You have a 6'5" lefty hammer who is attacking short sticks. It's almost unfair.
Maryland did a nice job against Dobson in the regular season, covering him with a short, but denying his left hand. That's a situation where you really want to get up on his left hand and force him down the alley.
He has become much, much better with that right hand. Weirman whiffed. Marco Napolitano cleans, and Notre Dame will set up the clear. Irish have scored on 5 of their last 6 shots. McNaney does not have a save. Entenmann only has one.
You think about Maryland, they've played one game on natural grass this season. That was 2 days ago, here on a dry, beautiful NFL-type surface. Notre Dame's played 3 grass games, at Duke, at Virginia, and on Saturday. This is kind of a new deal for these goalies. It seems like youth leagues, club, high school, colleges, playing on plastic.
Here's Riley Gray, 6'4", from Long Island. Now Buzenkill. 2 points in this first quarter. Angrich's got a goal. Shoots on the run. McNaney got a piece. That's his first save. And did that settle down a goalie?
Well, the ones you catch are going to settle you down more than the ones you deflect.
You know, we're talking about that next save mentality, and these are 2 goalies I'm not concerned about making that next save. Back-to-back championship weekend MVPs, McNaney in 2022 for the Terps, Entenmann last season for the Fighting Irish.
Angrich bouncer on the run. It'll stay with Notre Dame.
Maryland really hesitant to double team. Notre Dame sensing that now, pushing for some unassisted looks.
Kavanaugh eyes Zappatello. ACC Player of the Year against Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Kavanaugh's got 2 assists.
2 future pros.
Angrich off the invert. Gray slams on the brakes. Back to Kavanaugh. Both first-round picks, he and Zappatello. Gray the pick, but a moving pick. He gets called. Maryland ball.
That's what it takes to beat Ajax Zappatello off a pick. I've been watching defenders all season. It's hard to find someone better than one in black who plays the pick game. He gets through almost every single pick. That time he did, it's because it was a moving one.
Game 4, Eastern Conference Finals tonight. Celtics Pacers, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Boston are looking for the sweep. Countdown tips off for coverage at 7 p.m.
Picks in lacrosse, very similar to what you'll see with picks in the NBA.
Syracuse with the right hand. Entenmann with the save, looking for the outlet. Nick Harris had a goal in Notre Dame's semifinal win against Denver. Start of this game delayed a little more than 2 hours due to weather. Faison's dangerous with the long dodge. He's got the short stick, Stamos. Good defense by Stamos to spin Faison around.
Matchup here for Kavanaugh.
Against red. 15 white, Chris Kavanaugh, younger brother of Pat.
The pick game allows Notre Dame to create some real positive matchups.
Chris Kavanaugh wanted space. Feeds brother Pat. Crease feed Taylor. Shot blocked by Burles. The carom comes to Chris Kavanaugh. Shot clock at 10. Faison setting the pick for Kavanaugh. Flips it back to Faison. Skips it wide. Dobson the backup, only 3 to shoot. And Notre Dame may dump this into the corner. They're going to get their defensive personnel on.
Maryland's bench should come to life with that defensive stop.
Oh, they'll try here. Normally 3 on the shot clock. Teams get ready to play defense, and Notre Dame decided to try to take a shot.
36 years for Kevin Corrigan, the skipper of this Notre Dame team, taking the job back in 1988.
Notre Dame 13 shots to Maryland 7 in this first quarter. The Terps in this postseason have excelled limiting shots, especially shots on goal.
I think his hat, maybe wearing that same hat since year 1.
He said he started wearing it last year, and they've been mostly winning, so he's kept it. Hasn't washed it. Final seconds, quarter number 1. Kelly has it taken away by Conlon, who turbines out of trouble. 6 turnovers for Maryland. Parlett sends it down. It was tipped by Spanos. And the first quarter, the long-awaited first quarter of this 2024 National Championship comes to an end. Terps scored the first two. Notre Dame responded with a 5-1 blitz to close the first 15 minutes. 5-3 Irish through one. Maryland down 2 after one quarter. Paul Carcaterra with their head coach John Tillman.
Coach, how do you want to play defense against Notre Dame?
You know, I feel like we talked in the huddle. Just feel like our guys, we played a lot of defense right now. We've had some short possessions, so we talked about playing complementary lacrosse and just give our defense a little bit of a break. They're really talented. They put you under a lot of pressure. And I just felt like we just asked a lot of those guys in the second part of that quarter. So certainly got to be on point, play the ball hard, be ready to slide when we need to, communicate. But I do think, like, giving our defense a little bit of a break right now is going to be critical in the first 5 minutes.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it.
Code for this game's moving a little fast for our liking. Notre Dame getting a lot of shots, 13 shots overall.
6 turnovers for Maryland to Notre Dame's 2 in that first quarter. Maryland has had success winning faceoffs and an unforced error. McDonald threw it over McNaney. 7 turnovers now despite a 7-3 edge on faceoffs.
Schizophrenic year for the Terps. They went 4-5 over their last 9 games. Their offense kind of went dormant. Turnovers were a major issue, and they've remedied that in the playoffs. Wins over Princeton, 16-8. Upset Duke at Hofstra, and then on Saturday taking care of Virginia. Turnovers have been cleaned up until right now.
We have seen it all season. The margin for error for opponents of Notre Dame is razor thin. Dobson's got the short stick red. He's seen a lot of short sticks this season, and he's been able to do that. Finding Devin McClain, Notre Dame's top scoring midfielder. It's now a 6-1 run for the Irish.
Good play, bad play for Maryland on that face-off wing. Jack McDonald, the senior from Southside Long Island, who's got blazing speed, catches this, just a simple exchange, and he airmails it over McNaney's head. So you're stuck now playing defense. And for the second time, Clark, Dobson gets to his strong left hand.
He does. He has been cooking in this first half, and Devin McClain's been the cherry on top of this offense. He's the leading goal scorer from the midfield in the ACC, and you see how smart he is in terms of finding the seam, standing his ground, and the ball's in his stick for a fraction of a second. So when he catches that, he knows where his location is in terms of staring down McNaney.
He's been on a tear down the stretch and had a 3-goal, 3-assist game against Maryland in the regular season. Weirman wins it to himself clean. The trail check by Parlett. 40 in white, who normally wears number 21, has been the unsung hero of this Notre Dame team, but it will stay with the Terps. Ball was knocked out of bounds by the Irish.
You know, that's where weather can come into play. A lot of these handles are really stick because the gloves are soaked from the delay and then going out early for the warm-ups prior to the restart. You saw when Luke Weirman tried to transfer hands there, the stick just completely fell out of his top part of his body.
Okay, so we're not allowed to cut the palms of your gloves anymore. What do you recommend, Clark, for players? You have to put more athletic tape on?
Yeah, you got to go a fresh coat of tape because a fresh coat is sticky. An older tape job is not going to work. It's slick to begin with, and then you add the water and the precipitation and all this humidity.
Spanos wanted no part of light. Maryland had a lot of success against Virginia attacking the short sticks. Got a matchup here, Syracuse against Parlett. Syracuse from the high wing. Bolivar against Harris, another short stick matchup. Bolivar turns, fires way too high, the backup to Chorus.
I was talking to their offensive coach, Mike Phipps, during the 2-hour rain delay downstairs. He said they watched a lot of Virginia tape from a year ago where the Cavs inverted. That is, they attacked from behind to front. And he said it'll be a steady diet of attacking the Notre Dame defensive midfielder.
Boris looking to shake Donovan, gives it up to Kelly. Now Spanos. Bounce shot, Entenmann gobbles.
Entenmann fought that off well. And again, rebound control has been one of his fortes throughout his career.
Dobson on Kolar. The speedy Faison. Checked by Alviti, the Vermont transfer. Now Kavanaugh, who's got 2 helpers. Most assists in Notre Dame history, single season and career. Another short stick matchup for Dobson. Chris Kavanaugh, 50 in white. McLean against Stamos. Shot clock inside of 15. Down to 10. Chris Kavanaugh snakes and stings.
Oh yeah, Irish Nation. Pat Kavanaugh was very under-recruited. He didn't go through his growth spurt until later, as we see Will Lynch here get a ground ball. But Chris made it clear. He said, I'm only going to school where Pat goes. And Kevin Corrigan knew that you bet on an undersized Pat Kavanaugh because he has a Kavanaugh heart. And at the end of the day, he is now the greatest player in Notre Dame lacrosse history.
His brother was known as Matty Ice. I like to call him Patty Hustle. Play like a Kavanaugh today. It's tenacity, always attacking. They play with such joy. They're innovative, they're creative, always pushing the boundaries.
They lead, they inspire. And that doesn't come from us, that comes from their teammates. Chris Kavanaugh low to too high. Pat Kavanaugh on Friday was telling us in 2015 when Notre Dame was in the semifinals here in Philly, he and his brother Chris were sitting in the corner cheering on older brother Matt, and they almost wore out the back part of a chair in front of us, in front of them, by shaking it so much during the course of the game.
Certain grit and competitive excellence.
Here's Chris Kavanaugh, gets free, fires, scores. Notre Dame pressing downhill. They're on an 8-1 run, and they've got a 5-goal lead on Maryland. This is danger time for the Terps.
That's an understatement. Notre Dame getting any look and every look that they desire. There's Mary Kavanaugh celebrating. No pick needed, just a simple cut, and not sure what Maryland is doing defensively on the interior. Ball watching, staring at the player behind the net. Kavanaugh catch, slicing his way through this Terp defense.
How about the awareness to feel that over the head check? As Chris is in front of the goal, he knows he has the angle that he wants as long as he can escape that pressure. But he uses that elbow, and then he kind of baits that defender. Defender goes over his head, and then it's just too late and too easy for 5-0.
If you're John Tillman, are you thinking timeout here soon?
We've only played 20 minutes. Notre Dame's got 8. Terps defense in this tournament has held everyone like below 10 in a full game, correct?
I don't think that's happening today.
They are getting shelled right now.
Maryland played the late game on Saturday. Notre Dame played the early game, so there is a bit of a rest benefit built in.
Look, with Luke Weirman, anything's possible in terms of face-offs and going on a run. The one thing that does work against the Terps is they're not really a run-and-gun type team.
If you play that style, you're playing in Notre Dame's hands. Whittier.
So it's got to be a methodical comeback, like we saw yesterday in the women's championship.
Boston College trailed 6-0 before defeating Northwestern for the title. This is Brennan against Parlett, takes him to X. Serpents around the crease. Beats it back up top to Spanos. Shot clock at 20. Good look from the wing, too high. Clark, the other challenge for Maryland is, in theory, Weirman wins faceoff, you gain possessions, you come back. Notre Dame's got the #2 defense in the country.
They're the only team in the nation, Anish, that's top 5 in offensive scoring and defensive scoring. And the Terps have been plagued this season by poor shooting as well. Notre Dame's first in the country in making it count in terms of shooting percentage. The Terps were under 30% in the regular season.
And now a shot clock violation. And they've been better shooting the ball in these 3 NCAA tournament games. Princeton, Duke, Virginia. But Notre Dame comes into the game shooting 38% down the season, tops in Division I. We saw 2 years ago one of the most dominant teams we've ever seen in Maryland when they went undefeated. This Notre Dame team, the way they play, the way they've dominated teams, it's close to that level.
It is. They're 15-1. As you said, they lost to Georgetown in overtime back on February 25th when Kevin Warren, wearing that glitzy starter jacket, engineered an incredible upset based on possession, attacking this Notre Dame defense from behind the net, and some timely shooting. And since then, it's been all Notre Dame.
Easier to do that when you're not down by 5. That game was close pretty much the whole way. Third midfield on for Notre Dame. Seymour's got a goal. Chris Kavanaugh scored the last 2 for the Irish. Feeding his brother Pat. 43 times they've assisted each other on a goal. Zappitello marking Pat Kavanaugh. Flips it back to his brother Chris. Right hand free. It whistles wide. Shot clock is at 2. Notre Dame throws it in the corner. They'll set up their defense. John Tillman and Kevin Corrigan, the sideline sages. It took Kevin Corrigan 3.5 decades to get his first title at Notre Dame. Looking to go back-to-back. And since John Tillman took over in College Park, as the Terps turn it over yet again, they've got 10 shots and 10 turnovers. And that is a dangerous cocktail against Notre Dame.
John Tillman playing in his 8th championship game. They have done everything exceptionally well except win on Monday.
He's lost 5 times on Memorial Day. Now, in fairness, some of his early teams overachieved, much like this one has.
They could easily have 4 championships. Could have won in 2016. Could have won in 2021.
Lost to an unseeded North Carolina team in the 2016 final. 2021, one of the great championship games we saw. Luke Weirman had a chance to tie in the final seconds of regulation. Won a face-off. His shot hit Virginia goalie Alex Rode in the chest, and the Cavaliers hung on. Here comes Dobson, steered to his right. He wants that left. Draws the slide, looking for Taylor. And that's going to be Maryland ball.
That's great backside help by Ajax Zappitello. One in black, the righty from Portland, Oregon, part of the Portland pipeline. Handful of players who played high-level D1 lacrosse, guys like Tucker Dordovic, Sam Hanley, Ross Scott, Peter Baum way back in the day, and Chop Gallagher. Many who are going to be pros down the road, the PLL.
Zappitello, the 3rd overall pick in the PLL draft. A chance here for Maryland. And Corus just got engulfed trying to release the shot.
What's the path here for a comeback? You know, you mentioned Anish in 2022, that team offensively for Maryland was next level. They had a 100-point scorer in Logan Wisnauskas. The year before, they went to the national title. They were undefeated until they lost to Virginia. Jared Bernhardt had 99 points. This team does not have the alpha. Their top scorer, Braden Erksa, 41 points this season. Who's the guy that is going to complete a comeback for them?
Well, they did it against Duke in the quarterfinals, a game you covered.
Well, they've got to figure out how to slow down Notre Dame. 3 goals in a row for Chris Kavanagh. A first-half hat trick. And the Irish freight train is rolling.
When this offense feels it, they start feasting. There's blood in the water. And the Kavanaghs know the onslaught will continue. They have Maryland guessing and a little bit of a backhand beauty. Older brother to younger brother. And this is improv and backyard at its best. You feel that topside pressure? How about some backside glory?
Meanwhile, Logan McNaney, the Maryland goalie, has yet to be credited with a save. In the first quarter, it looked like he got a piece of one. They said that's a pipe shot. He's 0 for 9.
Do you hear the music in the background? If you're from New York, you know it. It's the New York Rangers. The Kavanaghs are rabid hockey fans. They're piping Ranger music after a beauty by younger brother Chris.
Chris has 3 goals. Pat has 3 assists. Speaking of the Rangers, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 4, tomorrow night on ESPN and ESPN+. Rangers trail the Florida Panthers 2-1 in the series. They get a timeout by Kevin Corrigan.
20 years ago, the Mids and Syracuse in one of the stronger championship games in history in Baltimore on a rainy Memorial Day.
The Terps slow down Notre Dame.
The Looney brothers, including Brendan.
Brendan passed away, was killed in the line of duty, and John Tillman makes it a point to honor Brendan Looney every year, especially around this time. Here comes Pat Kavanagh. Crease feed McLean. McNaney's 0 for 9, folks. One of the best big game goalies we've seen in recent memory. A lot of offense from Notre Dame. They've had the ball for most of this quarter. Chris Kavanagh, marked by Canfield. Canfield dislodges it and vacuums the ground ball. Well, for the Terps, they've got to get shots on these possessions. Too many have ended with a turnover. In this second quarter, Notre Dame's 4 for 9. Maryland is 0 for 4.
Having trouble winning a matchup are the Terps. That's fine. You got to go to your pick game. Really reliant on the pick game if you can't beat your defender off the dribble.
Syracuse running with the All-American Ramsey. Syracuse got the step, got top side, rolls back. Nothing there. Erickson now defended by Conlon. Syracuse dancing around the crease. Nothing easy in the settled sets. Maltz shovels to Spanos. Pinballs off Falakwa. 15 to shoot. Feeding inside. Shot altered. Maltz the backup, 11 to shoot.
Excellent collapsing defense by Coach Wellner's group.
Spanos with the short stick. Bounce shot, save Entenmann. Pitchforks the rebound out of the air.
Running the weave up top.
Pat Kavanagh using the pick from Gray. Zapatello on him. Gray against Alviti, shoots low. McNaney without a stop. The second midfield strikes again for Notre Dame. And the Irish lead by 7.
Looking for answers on the iPad. As this game spirals out of control, with a stout defense protecting Liam Entenmann. He goes down at first, and then he's quick with the hands up top and the great rebound control. On the offensive end, Kavanaugh dicing up top. Riley Gray has been so steady and consistent and aggressive this season as a member of the second midfielder. Graduate student from Chaminade, he can shoot through pressure. I think he's had a masterful season.
Kark, this second midfield for Notre Dame, has had a hand in 4 goals, and the third midfield today has had a hand in a goal. That's 5 of the 10.
There's the depth I was talking about when you could roll 9 out. And they did it on Saturday. They're fresh as can be, but they also create offense, the second and third midfield, in peculiar ways. I mean, Riley Gray is 6'4", 210 pounds. He doesn't really have to run by you. Busenkill is not one of those party starters who has electric first step type tendencies. They're really smart in terms of finding the smallest little seam.
First flag of the game.
Personal foul, illegal body check below the waist, 22 white, 1 minute. Illegal body check below the waist, 22 white, 1 minute.
Yeah, good tackle.
It's Will Lynch, the Notre Dame face-off man, and if you're Maryland looking for the door to be slightly ajar to get back into this game, you've got an extra man opportunity here. 6 on 5 for a full minute. Irish. That ball tipped out of bounds to Maryland. Here's the look from Skycam. Griffin King, 42 in black, part of the extra man unit. Spanos. Only 5 seconds left before we get back to full strength. Skip pass. Terps could not really get inside, couldn't get much. Skip pass on the crease, finally! They answer the bell. It's Moliver from in close.
Chip away. You have Luke Weirman. He can create a run for you. You have Logan McNaney who can lock it down on the defensive end. Your offense has to come to play. And this is a gorgeous skip pass. When a team defense is so compact because they have a goalie like Liam Entenmann, the seam is that skip through pass from top to bottom corner. And Maliver knows to beat Entenmann, you've got to have the goods. A little fake low, stick it high.
Little tiptoe in the crease on that last goal. They want to take a look at this. It's awful close. The question is the ball over the line before that foot makes contact with the line? It's the second toe. Watch. He's good right here. That's good. He's out, not in the crease. But this next foot that lands will be, right? Maybe, is the ball already in the net?
Ball's in the net. The ball's in the net when the second foot drops.
Maliver, the senior from Atlanta. One of a handful of guys in this game from the state of Georgia.
The call on the field was challenged. Our coach's challenge.
For you, the play on the field stands. Good goal.
Not enough to overturn, so the verbiage is stands. And as Kark said, it looked like the ball was in the goal before that foot came down at the crease. You mentioned Georgia. Moliver from Atlanta, Georgia, was coached by someone Kark knew very well, the late, great John Zilberti.
Absolutely, and I think we're seeing a big-time presence from Atlanta. The three of us were talking about it, and guys like Liam Banks and John Zilberti, who was a two-time national champion at Syracuse in '89 and '88 as well. He brought a functional, technical aspect to training attackers down in Georgia. You see how smooth they are with their skills, and they're very two-handed like Z was.
Flag down against Notre Dame.
That's big. That's big. Opening the door a bit.
The pendulum swung one way for most of this half. Maryland trying to take a little mojo into the locker room.
Remember, Maryland outscored Duke 7-2 in the fourth quarter. They got the face-off game rolling. You got Luke Weirman, you got a shot.
Oliver missed the cage. And Maryland will go man up.
Coach, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 51 white, 1 minute. 51 white, unnecessary roughness, 1 minute.
Kavanaughs don't take a play off. They're known for their forechecking or their riding, and they'll hunt you. And that's late and from the rear. I agree with that call. These guys they set a fast pace, and they don't take plays off. And with it, will come an occasional penalty or two. They have trouble showing restraint.
One speed. Hair on fire. A chance here for Maryland. They watched Notre Dame go on a 10-1 run before the last extra man up goal. Spanos lost the handle, able to get it back. Conlon all over him. We come up on 20 seconds to go in the quarter. Right inside, King turned away. And Notre Dame's got it. Napolitano to Entenmann.
Possession is critical here to carry over into the third quarter.
The team that has possession during an extra man when the quarter ends gets the ball to begin the next quarter without a face-off. Notre Dame had to get it over. Maryland chucks it back the other way. And the Irish able to withstand a second man up goal. Maryland got one late EMO goal to dent that momentum from Notre Dame. Terp scored the first two goals of this game, and then all Notre Dame from there. A 10-2 run for the Irish. Notre Dame 30 minutes away from a repeat. Opportunity for Maryland to begin the third quarter. They have an extra man. They face off 3 versus 2. And Corus cleans it off the wing. Oh, Entenmann with a big save. It'll reset the shot clock to 60.
Sure, that was Piper's save, but it was a big one. Again, things change quickly in the sport of lacrosse. This is a game of momentum.
Back to even strength. Maltz up top to Urksa. Now Molliver missed last year with a torn ACL. Had a big game against Notre Dame back in March. Inverts Parlett. Tries to get top side, and Entenmann snatches it upstairs.
That's the Spider-Man quality that he has in the dynamic mover between the pipes. 4-year starter, more saves than any player in school history. He's a pro. He's a pro in the PLL next week on Saturday, ABC at noon. Be interesting
draft pick.
Yeah, we'll see if he can start in the league right away.
McNaney still in the cage for Maryland, 0 for 10 in that first half. That one hit the post. McNaney just hasn't been able to see it, hasn't been able to see any. And as Maryland, the defense has had to dig in. Notre Dame's had the ball on their end quite a bit. Pat Cavanaugh, 4 assists in the first half. 1 point away from 300 for his career. Cavanaugh behind the back. McNaney did get a piece of that one.
That's where Cavanaugh gives you some problems too. I think it's a new part of his arsenal in 2024 more than any other year prior. Is dodging from up top. Those shots from the high wings and up top in typical midfield places. This is where he goes. They'll send a pick. He's got a really strong shot on the run.
Here's Dobson. Down the alley, skip pass, Taylor near the crease. It's knocked back, it comes to Pat Cavanaugh. Still 30 on the shot clock. Cavanaugh against Dalvidi looking for Taylor. Off the stick of Dobson. Faison takes it away from Red. 20 to shoot, McLean. Plate attack at Brown, inside roll. Turned aside by Sharkey. Now Faison near the crease, McNaney saved 2 in a row. Backhanded Faison. Gets it through.
This is the crazy part about Faison's game, Quint. You would think coming over from football, he'd be an athlete, he'd beat you with speed. Well, he beat you with skill as well. He crashes the boards here on this first take. And then it's the backhand, which increases his angle. When you pick that ball up there, going backhand is like cannon at lefty.
More than 20 goals. Freshman midfielder out of Pinecrest, Florida. Wide receiver on the Notre Dame football team. Really burst. His production went through the roof late in the season. MVP of the Sun Bowl for head coach Marcus Freeman. Splitting his time this spring between spring football and the lacrosse team. He's got a quiet confidence. He's got that separation quickness you want to see out of a slot receiver. And for me, his shooting, Paul, as you alluded to, his shooting just went through the roof this spring.
You know, rarely do you see, Quint, a player come over from another sport and be asked to do the things that he was offensively. Maybe you could throw him in the middle of the field on wings and play some two-way, but he has been a steady force offensively. And I mentioned in the first half, it's allowed Eric Dobson to attack a short stick. Eric Dobson is one of the premier middies in college lacrosse, drafted by the Carolina Chaos. He'll be playing pro ball up in Albany next week. He's attacking shorties because of this freshman.
Cark, you were in South Bend earlier this season when Faison had the entire football team out there to support Notre Dame lacrosse at Arlotta.
Yes, they stuck around too, and he was a little quiet in the first half, and then he had a behind-the-back goal in front of all of his boys. They erupted, shirts off, going bonkers.
Entenmann the save on chorus. There was a great SportsCenter feature recently about all the lacrosse crossover players. Faison, MVP of the Sun Bowl for Notre Dame football. Well, Tyler Buckner plays for Notre Dame lacrosse, former quarterback at Alabama and Notre Dame. Pat Spencer won the Heisman of lacrosse, the Tewaaraton at Loyola. He plays for the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, Chris Hogan played lacrosse and then in the NFL. And Jared Bernhardt, who won the Tewaaraton at Maryland. Before getting hurt, he made the Falcons' 53-man roster.
The crossover between football and lacrosse is such a natural. Think about guys like Will Shipley, who played at Clemson, NFL draft choice.
Taylor near the crease.
Dante Trader, who played for this Maryland team last year. He's a safety. He was a defensive midfielder. Love to see Dante back on the lacrosse field.
Then the biggest of them all, Jim Brown. Syracuse All-American in both sports in the 1950s. He was part of that piece as well, and just amazing when you see the tendencies of the wide receiver. Chris Hogan in that piece referenced it too. So much of dodging one-on-one against the defender in lacrosse. Same type of breaks when you're a wide receiver against press coverage and a defensive back.
And we saw Virginia's Cole Kastner yesterday, 6'7". He'll play basketball for Stanford in the fall. Here's Brennan, Maryland down by 7. Settled sets have been difficult for the Terps. Maybe a look here. Brennan hesitates, skips it. Entenmann, after a slow start, starting to get hot. Now Carnage near the crease. 8 saves for Entenmann.
This is a good one.
Finally bounces up. Loose ball call against Maryland.
The lacrosse goal, 6 feet tall by 6 feet wide, 36 square feet. And that stick only does so much. Entenmann shifting his body, showing those reflexes, the flexibility, the explosive, the twitchy nature. makes that body save, and then smothers the ball.
Entenmann, like my partner Quint Kessenich, two-time winner of the Kelly Award, which goes to the nation's best goalie.
Wide base, eyes focused, that lateral move, that offside low or offside hip save, one of the most difficult in the game. Your stick's got to travel so far.
Pat Cavanaugh to brother Chris, going low, kiss the stone. With that goal, Chris Cavanaugh's got 4 on the afternoon. 5th assist for Pat Cavanaugh, and the 300th point of Pat Cavanaugh's career, the only 300-point scorer in school history. And Carc, in this NCAA tournament, the Cavanaugh brothers in 4 games have combined for 40 points.
It's been incredible. I had them in the quarterfinal round against Georgetown. The 8 points by Chris Cavanaugh was the most by a Notre Dame player in NCAA tournament history. He'll have the keys to the offense next year when Pat moves on after graduation. He'll be playing for the Boston Cannons with older brother Matt that we saw. But I think Chris Cavanaugh now is evolving with a complete game. But playing with his brother Pat has allowed that. I think Pat has been the most important player in Notre Dame lacrosse history. He changed this offense, his creative style and the improv. It took a great offensive program to another stratosphere.
You got to think Pat Cavanaugh's in the driver's seat right now for the Tewaaraton Award, which factors in performance in the month of May. Angerick skips, doorstep, slam, dunk. How about 5 goals for Chris Cavanaugh? His brother's got 5 assists today. It's a 10-point game of Notre Dame lacrosse. Lynch and Weirman in a battle for it. Maryland's done well on faceoffs. This has been the issue at times. It hasn't always translated to possessions, and it hasn't translated to early offense like it has at other times in this tournament.
Yeah, and without that alpha figure on offense, winning matchups has been tricky, and getting Notre Dame's defense to slide, rotate, and recover. Maryland's done a wonderful job in the tournament of capitalizing on poor interior defense, poor crease defense, and fleecing teams by interior passing. Notre Dame's been buttoned up on ball and inside.
Chorus working on Parlett. Now Spanos, jump shot left hand, Entenmann, the veto power.
Another body stop. That's a nice look by Maryland, and that's the type of pattern I'm talking about that has been successful in this tournament.
Entenmann got off to a slow start. 9 of 13 for the game. McNaney struggled, just 2 out of 15 for Maryland. Flag down. This you don't want to do against Notre Dame. They've got not just the best man-up unit in the country. Maryland has the 2nd worst man-down defense in Division I.
Yeah, it's an offsides. Maryland's got an extra player now on defense. You'll see him in the slot area in front of McNaney. He's a designated doubler, kind of hovering in the middle like a free safety.
Maryland will play with 7. You're offsides. Might as well have the extra man. They can't flag you multiple times. So Notre Dame working 6-on-7 with a free possession. Third midfield on for the Irish. They have some size. Fisher Finley, number 6, is 6'6". Seymour, number 26, 6'4". Finley, a Georgia native. Seymour thought about it from the wing. That one hisses offline. And Notre Dame will send a man-up unit that has a chance, depending on how this game plays out, to be the most efficient EMO group in Division I history since they started tracking.
Coach, I need you back to, we're fighting. Coach, we're not changing the way we've called this for decades. Technical foul, 38 black, offsides, 30 seconds. 38 black, offsides, 30 seconds. Reset the shot clock to 60.
Doug Donovan, Kevin Corrigan.
13-4.
Congratulations to these officials, Brian Abbott, Doug Donovan, and Jeffrey Hoffman, for working a championship game. Two guys who've been around the game at a high level for a long time. Pinnacle of their field, doing a wonderful job today.
So they're shutting off Pat Cavanaugh. He's the trigger man. Normally,
top of the box.
Yeah, what dictates this unit is Jake Taylor inside. If teams decide to lock him off, the outside is just too dangerous with Dobson. It's pick your poison. That's why it's one of the best and close to the best statistically ever. But the shut off on Cavanaugh kind of threw him out of sorts.
Now, Richard Daly tried to go right at McNaney.
He took the candy, took the chocolate.
The single season NCAA record since they started tracking late 90s. Detroit Mercy, 70.8%. Notre Dame came into the game north of 69%. Even strength. Terps looking for some kind of momentum. Maltz can't handle the pass. Another turnover by Maryland. That's 12.
Marco Napolitano, the grad student from Torrey Pines, California, heading off to med school at USC. This will be the last lacrosse game of his life. I spoke to his dad, Anthony, and mom, Joy. You think about a sport you pick up in 5th or 6th grade, having the catch with your dad in the backyard. He says, Marco catches the ball well because I had no skills, and I used to throw the ball at his feet.
He hardly played his first 3 years, was a bench guy, man down defense, has a chance to leave as a 2-year starter on 2 championship teams. Kevin Corrigan said he worked his tail off last year without any promise or reward of playing time. Dobson shot, saved by McNaney. But Maryland gets something unsettled. McDonald kicks it ahead. They've got a trailer. Shot wide by Colin Sharkey, the Vermont transfer.
You know, it's interesting with Marco, too. I've known him for a while, met him late stages of high school, and he waited his turn. And as you mentioned, nothing was promised to him. But in the days and age of the transfer portal, a lot of times a new guy could come in and take someone's spot who's been sitting there and working hard on the scout team and trying to get that opportunity. He was able to break through all those scenarios. I think you're going to see more and more of that in college lacrosse. Moving forward, you're going to see the developmental player who comes in as a freshman and he gets that opportunity maybe even a year earlier than Marco did because of the transfer portal drying up now with all the extra year from COVID.
Every defense needs a conductor, an orchestrator inside, a traffic cop, directing. When are we sliding? When are we not sliding? How are we dealing with cutters? How are we dealing with picks? That was Marco's job. I love his shaved head and goatee. Reminds me of an assassin.
Reminds you of Carcaterra in the offseason.
You know, with Marco, too, what's super interesting, too, is he mastered playing off the ball. 5-6 of the time you're away from the ball. You don't have to be a cover guy.
Jake Taylor. McNaney stopped it with his rear, finds it.
Good to see Logan finding his form.
Up 9. Notre Dame doesn't let you clear with ease. Maryland gets it across. Terps led 2-0. And it's been all Notre Dame from there. This Irish defense has caused 9 turnovers. It's been really the one team in all of Division I from start to finish that has been the most consistent and the most dominant. They came into this tournament as an overwhelming favorite, and we have seen no evidence to the contrary. Oliver against Harris, draws the slide. Syracusa ran out of an angle. Maltz able to keep it in, but the shot clock now about to go inside of 10. Syracusa against Ramsey. Maltz from long distance. 4 to shoot. Spanos will let the shot clock expire. Maryland will get set on defense. It's been offense, it's been defense. Liam Entenmann shook off a slow start. Kark, we've said all season this is a team without a weakness. They've played like that today.
You look up and down this roster, they have the midfield depth. They've got the short stick defensive midfielders, Kavanaughs and Taylor. And let's not forget about Ryan Wellner and the defensive effort that his team, alongside Coach Corrigan, who's been masterful on that side of the field for 3 decades. As I mentioned earlier, too, Wellner's oldest son, Griffin, enlisted in the Marine Corps 3 weeks ago. He's without a cell phone. Word got to him that Dad's playing in the national championship. Well, Dad is a heck of a lacrosse coach.
Fisher Finley providing yet another exclamation. That's that third midfield. Just the 4th goal of his career, the 2nd this season for the junior from Alpharetta, Georgia. The 10th different goal scorer for Notre Dame. And the Irish fans can feel another coronation.
Wow. Did you say midfield depth? This is a hammer of a shot by Fisher Finley. A big body, and I love the pattern on offense that allowed the ball to reverse back to the middle of the field. So he's staring down McNaney. Too much gas.
Before the ACC tournament in Charlotte, Matt Ward and I were talking to Notre Dame's offensive coordinator, Chris Wojcik, at length, and he mentioned this third midfield, whether it's even running a scout team offense or in practice. He said there have been too many instances to count, as Weirman had a chance and misses, too many instances to count, where they have taken the first defense's lunch money. And he said that's why they're playing. We watch what they do in practice. Other teams struggle to beat our defense. Our third midfield is beating our defense. And then, Kark, we saw it in Charlotte. They were scoring against Duke's first team, against Virginia's first team. Today they've scored now twice against Maryland's first team.
They just wear you out, and they've had valuable minutes.
Terps get one back.
That's a gorgeous pump and go on the wing. So Finley shows you how you score with a sweep move when you get to your strong hand, and too often today Notre Dame has gotten to their strong hand. Daniel Kelly with a sensational pump and go here, the senior from Calvert Hall. Dad Brian played at North Carolina and is a great high school coach. Pump right there, you hitch, and you go. You improve your angle. Again, catch, hitch, pop, step away, find a corner. Well done.
Yeah, the key to that hitch is how wide his base was. The wider the base is on the hitch, the more the defender turns his hips. And you can't match hips for hips, then it's space, and then it's that lefty rip. But he drops that right plant foot so wide.
Tell you, Kelly at practice on Friday, I spent some time with him. Leaders eat last. He's out there, he's a veteran, cleaning up the balls with the freshmen. I said, whose job is it to get the balls today after practice? He was a freshman. I said, you're not a freshman.
I know sometimes when you have a game like this and whatever the score ends up being, as Entenmann comes up with another stop, it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. As we go to the 4th quarter, Notre Dame 15 minutes away from their 2nd straight title. But what John Tillman has done with this group in this season, they're not as talented as they were 2 years ago. They've been an underdog in every game of this tournament. A major accomplishment to get here. It's the season of the spring sport championships. College baseball released its field of 64 earlier today. Tennessee, the #1 seed.
That championship game yesterday, it's archived on ESPN Plus, and I recommend if you're a young women's player or fan, please go watch the last 5 minutes of that game between Izzy Skane, Megan Taylor of Northwestern, and the save that Shea Dulce made in that game from Boston College. The best save at a championship game pivotal moment that I have ever seen, men's or women's. Completely faked out. She jumps, multiple fake shot, and somehow she makes a kick save while flying in the air.
Yes, Dylan Amante shot the ball where you want to. She was able to fake high and shot low. and then leaving her feet, she makes that stop. It's incredible. And what a comeback by Acacia Walker and the Boston College Eagles. 6-0 they're down. Everyone, including the 3 people doing this game, thought they were toast.
It was. Now, Northwestern had beaten BC in the regular season. 6-0 first quarter, and then BC chipped away. And that save, Quint, that's something you can see a young girl hanging that poster up in their room if you're a young lacrosse player.
Unless you're out at the math tutor, yeah.
Oliver against Faison, hung up on defense. Turns. Entenmann deflects, catches.
Biggest comeback in an NCAA final would be 1983. Syracuse trailing Hopkins 12-5, rallied for their first championship in school history.
Quint, Ryan Holman's trying to get ready for camp right now. He was the goalie for Hopkins,
Yeah.
wasn't he? He's the head coach of the Boston Cannons.
That is correct.
And he's catching strays.
Yes.
It's an interesting point you bring up because this game's been defined by eras, right? In the 70s, Maryland, Cornell, late 70s, 80s, Hopkins, North Carolina had their run. Syracuse had the title in 83. With the Gates, they had the three-peat, 88-90, the real ascension of that program. Princeton under Bill Tierney in the 90s. We saw what John Danowski and Duke did early part of the last decade. Well, Virginia's got a title in 2019, 2021. Notre Dame goes back-to-back. Now, Carc, you start talking about the transformation of Notre Dame lacrosse into that next tier of programs when you win that second title. So-called golden age, if you will, here.
You do. And the one player, and there's been so many great players over the last 2 years, but I think the one player that I'll always connect this golden era with is Pat Cavanaugh. He's the player. Because when I think of the championship runs, the 88, 89, 90 Cuse team, I think of the Gates, right? I think of 2005 with Paul Rabel and Kyle Harrison.
Right, yeah.
Right, there's always a player or two you associate it with.
Pat Cavanaugh has 5 assists today. His brother Chris has 5 goals. It feels like there's about 7 Cavanaughs on the field. Chris Cavanaugh against Canfield. Dobson sledgehammers down the alley. Faison against Alviti. Bouncer on the question mark. And McNaney cleans it up near the crease. Alviti for Maryland. Hit from behind, and are we going to get a flag? Looked like Bergmaster got him. No penalty. Game 4 Eastern Conference Finals tonight. Celtics Pacers, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Boston can punch its ticket to the NBA Finals. They lead that series 3-0. Whittier, Entenmann eats up another one. He got off to a slow start. He has settled in close to 70% on the afternoon.
Numbers.
Parlett all the way. McNaney kicks it back toward midfield. Sharkey had it, lost it, off the contact by Conlon. Angrick.
No numbers.
His second midfield has had a hand in about a half dozen goals for Notre Dame today. Third midfield has scored 2 with Seymour and Finley. And then the Cavanaughs, the usual. 2024 Men's Lacrosse Championship. Start of the game delayed a couple of hours by weather. This after the game was moved up an hour yesterday due to the threat of weather. Maryland led 2-0, and Notre Dame has been running downhill since. Booze and kill. Save McNaney. Outlet to Zappitello. Sharkey steps down. Entenmann is there again. The Minotaur at the end of the labyrinth.
That was quality all around. Zappatello delivers an absolute strike across the front of the formation. That was thrown in your direction. I mean, that ball was right on the money. They had the gorgeous trailer break, and Enneman is now really feeling it. You can see how much more comfortable he looks.
100%. Started shaky. I don't think he was stepping to the ball when we got off from that weather delay. Didn't have the greatest warm-up. It was pouring rain. Footing was a little bit off. But you watch the way that he progressed through this game, and it was only a matter of time. But Anish, you and I were talking pregame too. It's like, which way do you want Notre Dame to beat you? There's so many paths for them to win. For Maryland, there was one or two paths, right? Well, you look at the face-offs right now, 16-7 in Maryland's favor. And this has been complete domination by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
And the one thing you cannot have against Notre Dame, you need your goalie to play well. And McNaney, who's been so good, especially on this stage, did not have a save in the first half. Entenmann, meanwhile, a little bit of a slow start. Quint, you mentioned he let a couple in that he normally gets. He's now 13 out of 18, 72%.
There you go.
This after going 18 out of 27 in the final against Duke last year.
I think the rain and the wet field surface had both of these goalies a little tentative early, because that ball was really skimming off the grass. And that can put you on the defensive. Liam's been moving his feet really well.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot. The Tewaaraton Award, the Heisman of Lacrosse. Coming into today, the prevailing feeling was Pat Cavanaugh, the favorite, Liam Entenmann with a big game, maybe, because postseason performance matters. I get the sense this is going to be Pat Cavanaugh's award. How do you feel?
You know, Liam Entenmann, I think most years you could make the argument could win the Tewaaraton, but for me, it's Pat Cavanaugh. Kevin Corrigan and Notre Dame have been playing incredible defense for decades, and they've had some amazing goalies. Entenmann, the best, but you think of the Scotty Rogers and the Kemp brothers, been so many. I think Pat Cavanaugh changed the complexity of the way this team plays offense. It's the #1 scoring offense in the country, the best man-up unit. He's broken basically every single record, and the style has been turned upside down in terms of the way they play lacrosse offensively. It's free-flowing, it's creative, there's improv. Everyone wants to watch Notre Dame offense, and it starts with Pat Cavanaugh. I give him the Tewaaraton.
Q?
Absolutely. I think it's been that way for me since after the loss to Georgetown. They bounced back with that win over Michigan. If you plug in the tape and talk about impact, talk about a guy who's a catalyst, both in his production, the way he plays the game, that competitive grit, that competitive excellence. Pat Cavanaugh, to me, is an all-timer. Not only is he a Tewaaraton winner this year. Wow!
I'll tell you what, I know it's garbage time, so to speak. It's the championship game. Notre Dame's up 9 goals, but Entenmann putting on a clinic here in this fourth quarter. That was 99, and Entenmann put out the fire. He's now 15 out of 20, 75%.
Ready for the PLL.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he will play for the New York Atlas. He'll team up with Connor Schellenberger. Entenmann, the 5th overall pick. Cavanaugh, the 6th overall pick. We'll see Zappatello, the 3rd overall pick. Plenty of star power on this field that we get to see the rest of the summer. That's going to be a flag. Stamos came over. Taylor found an angle and found an opening. Pat Cavanaugh gets the assist, his 6th of the game. And Jake Taylor makes it a 10-goal advantage for the Fighting Irish. They are our Capital One players of the game. And in these 4 NCAA tournament games, they have combined for 42 points. 23 goals, 19 assists between the two. Pat Cavanaugh had a hat trick in the first 3 games, 6 assists today. There's Cavanaugh. He's had himself 5 goals today, had the 8-point game in the quarters against Georgetown. That set a Notre Dame single-game NCAA tournament record.
And quite a contrast from a year ago when maybe not as productive. They kind of had to leave the stadium in a body bag. I mean, they were banged up as bad as it gets. The two brothers took some serious shots, played through massive injuries, in winning last year's championship.
Yeah, Pat Cavanaugh injured his hamstring last year, and he was duct taped together almost like Frankenstein's monster for championship weekend.
Yeah, he had the busted shoulder too, which required surgery after the season. But Chris Cavanaugh's game, I think, has skyrocketed. Coming into the weekend, 36 goals, 36 assists, complete balance. In the past, he was more of a goal scorer. He's taken on that dual quarterback role better than ever. And he'll have this offense in terms of the reins and the keys for next year. And I think he's ready. And having Pat by his side for these first 3 years, what an incredible run.
Here's the vaunted, dare I say, third midfield, Bryce Walker, as his shot turned away. Terps have been held to just 5 goals.
This team, a bunch of likable overachievers.
Yeah, one of the interesting story points once this game goes final, Carc, there's a ton of star power. There is a mass exodus of superstars from college to the PLL to the NLL.
Absolutely.
Next year has a chance to be as wide open as any year we've seen in recent memory.
I would agree, and I think the conference that's getting hit the most by graduation is the ACC. You look at some of these stars like Pat Cavanaugh, Brennan O'Neill, Connor Schellenberger. They've been around forever. Peyton Cormier just broke the all-time leading goal scoring record in Division I history. These guys have been mainstays for 4 and 5 years. They're all gone. I feel like the ACC is completely wide open. On paper, probably Syracuse brings back the most, but the conference that you have to watch next year is the Ivy League. I think the Ivy League, from a talent perspective, the 4 to top 5 teams in that conference, I think you'll see 1 or maybe even 2 in championship weekend.
And if there's anything, Quint, we've learned one lesson. We have learned one lesson. No matter what they look like on paper, you cannot count out a John Tillman coach team in the month of May.
It's amazing. You know, this was the game that we kind of anticipated back in 2022 when Notre Dame didn't make the tournament.
I think it was a game a lot of folks wanted to see.
But I agree with Paul. Ivy League worth watching next year. 2 mid-majors I like, Towson and Albany. Return a lot from 2 teams who made the tournament this year.
Thompson over to Faison as he zippered through the defense. Cavanaughs will be watching Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Final. Their Rangers looking to even the series with the Panthers at 2-piece. That is tomorrow night on ESPN, 8 Eastern. Pat loves to wear that 1994 Stanley Cup champion Rangers hat. It's got some mileage on it. Pat Cavanaugh behind the back. Shot clock expires. Cavanaugh gets bumped by Schaller. Lost his stick. 2:20 to go. Alviti back up to Spanos. There's a heavy Long Island flavor on this Notre Dame roster. A lot of guys on this team have grown up together. Kevin Corrigan calls a timeout. Liam Entenmann, Pat and Chris Cavanaugh, they've been friends since they were little tykes. And they've got a chance to end their career here as 2-time back-to-back national champions. That's at Rockefeller Center. Chris in the middle with the Rangers ski hat.
Yeah, I was talking to Liam Entenmann and Pat Cavanaugh the other day, asking him about those early hockey days. Liam was a lockdown defender. Pat said that you could beat him with quickness and maybe get the puck through his legs because he was bigger than the rest of them. But that relationship just grew and grew. And Pat and Liam spent time at Chaminade. Pat did a post-grad year at Taft. Chris followed suit. And this Chaminade contingency has been long-standing from Notre Dame, back to the days in the 90s with guys like Jimmy Keenan from Chaminade to Notre Dame. But the influx of talent from Long Island and the toughness that that area brings. I don't need to tell Quint that. He's from Lynbrook, Long Island. You see it with the way they play. Like, they never take plays off. They were coached well at the youth league, and it's all the little things. It's the details. It's riding. It's ground balls. It's not just scoring, and the scoring will come, and it did today. 11 points combined for the Kavanaughs. But it's about learning the right way to play the game.
Kevin Corrigan wants to get some of his scout team or some of his backups a taste. They get to take the field in a national championship. The Cavanaugh brothers, they'll watch the final 2:10 from the bench.
Next stop, epic tailgate, and after that, probably the McAfee show.
They've become regulars. 27 in white for Notre Dame is the bagpiper Ross Bergmaster. And there is a Notre Dame tradition. At the end of the game, he will leave the bagpipe in the locker of a teammate. And that teammate has an off-season task. It's to learn how to play the bagpipes, because he will lead Notre Dame out with Scotland the Brave next season. Entenmann's still in there, turns it away.
Unsuspecting teammate looking at a summer of bagpipe lessons. It's a great tradition. Started by Sean Meehan back in the day. It's been passed on. Ross had assistance last year from Brian Tevlin, but most improved bagpiper in history, Ross Bergmaster. Scotland the Brave and Amazing Grace.
A tough end of the season for John Tillman. Kevin Corrigan trying to hide a smile. Mrs. Corrigan. They waited a long time to get number one. His wife Liz getting ready to celebrate a second straight championship. Terps proved all the naysayers wrong to get here. But they ran into a team that had been the best and the most dominant from February through the end of May all season long in Notre Dame. It felt inevitable. In the end, it was. Spanos with less than 10. The bench can sense it. All that glitters is still gold. Notre Dame makes it back-to-back national titles. Kark.
He's complaining they ruined his hat. That's the epic hat. Coach, you've done this before. How do you know that Gatorade bath's not coming?
I haven't done it often enough. Only twice in 36 years, you know. It just takes a little getting used to.
You've been a master defensively for decades. You've built this program on defense. You held Maryland to 5 goals today. How?
We've got an experienced group there, and we got Liam Entenmann back in there erasing mistakes. So, yeah, listen, Ryan Welner's done a great job working with them. We've got experienced guys, 2 fifth-year seniors, you know, starting in front of a 5th-year senior goalie who I think is as good as I've seen play college lacrosse, to be honest with you.
I've asked you this question before, but I want the sports world to know. What's it like coaching the Cavanaugh brothers?
You know, it's a delight because they love it. There's such joy in what they do. Great teammates, great competitors, great kids. You know, their guys love them as much as they love them. So it's awesome.
They share a lot of your fire. When you think of the last couple years now, what do these 2 titles mean to Notre Dame lacrosse?
Well, obviously it's our first 2, you know, but listen, I don't know how you put something like this in perspective other than I couldn't be more proud of these guys, what they've done and what our senior leadership did to bring this team from, you know, this day last year to today is really something, and all credit goes to them.
It's a magical 2-year run. You gonna get a new hat?
No, and I can't now. You know, the hat had no magic in it until last year.
It didn't.
Now I can't get rid of it.
And you stole it from your wife, Liz.
You're right. Hey, Memorial Day, let's remember you know, all those families and people that are served.
Absolutely. I mentioned your assistant coach, Ryan Wellner. His son, Griffin, just started his service, so I know this is a big moment for him and his family, but for you to say that too is very gracious, and God bless America.
Amen.
Well, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Kevin Corrigan. Unsuspecting.
Oh, they got him good. They got him good.
But it feels so good. Notre Dame back-to-back